Sir Quintin and yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, side proposition stands for the people, no substitutes whatsoever. Side opposition's model of just increasing the accreditation of for-profit universities clearly ignores our first speaker's speech. We have already told you that these for-profit universities have deceptive marketing and that people are not rational enough because they're deceived to go into these universities in the first place, and they end up with crippling debt and they end up with a miserable life. And that side opposition solves none of these problems. And even if they come up with more regulations to solve these problems, we will tell you in my argument why this does not work. Anyway, let's first start with this argument. First rebuttal on their introduction of how there's one world university, Canadian university, national university, and life is good. But we tell you that they cannot just come up and give us 3 examples of good for-profit universities and be justified with Corinthian and ITT profiting those students. We tell you that even if there's one university, one for-profit university that's harming those individuals, the government, the state, has to be proactive in banning those institutions to prevent harm to those students. They cannot just dismiss those Corinthian and ITT as bad apples because there are students that are harmed at the end of the day. If they do dismiss that as bad apples, what that means is that they are ignoring the people, and that is not the obligation of the state. We think that they're ignoring the most vulnerable people at the end of the day. They are just going to end. They're just going to leave people with debt, and they just don't care about it. It's just a bad apple. Second rebuttal, how they said was that they're going to be able to improve the sector, and hopefully that optimistically it's going to become better at the end of the day. Let's look back at the GI Bill of Congress in the 1940s. We can say that Congress has already been trying to regulate these for-profit universities since the 1940s. It's already been 70 years. We have no hope left. We have no patience left. And that's why we have to ban those for-profit universities. That's the harms that our first speaker has elaborated, has existed since those years, and 70 years, nothing still happens. Third rebuttal on how they said that they want the law of protections. We tell you that doesn't work. We'll address that in detail in my argument. Fourth rebuttal on how their distinction, they ask us how traditional universities leave there as well, and that why we want to ban traditional universities as well. We draw a distinction too. Our first speaker has stated that community colleges, while they also have to take up a loan, they have to take up a loan much less, and this loan is manageable, meaning 9,000 of those is manageable. And furthermore, we tell you that those community colleges actually give you employment, actually give you a job. It is unfair for side opposition to blame those students that they are not getting a job. For some reason, they're incompetent people that they're not getting a job. It's completely not for-profit universities' fault, because for-profit universities are the ones that's supposed to equip them with education. If those for-profit universities don't actually give them education, they've already failed the role of education in the first place. And since they give harm, we say we should just ban them in the first place. Another rebuttal on how they said that people will think long and hard before taking a loan. We told you already that this deceptive marketing, as long as it exists in the paradigm of side opposition, people will not be able to make a rational choice. I'll also further to you how an information asymmetry and intangible factors cannot actually be regulated, cannot actually tell whether these people are making a rational choice or not. A rebuttal on how they said that there's going to be a career niche, there's this marketplace. The for-profit universities, they innovate in those marketplaces, they have a flexible market, right, and that they innovate in these things. We tell you that if these jobs are necessary for the job market, then the state will innovate as well, and community colleges will also have those courses. The reason that community colleges don't have those jobs because the state sees that there's no need in the market to produce those jobs, because when you produce those jobs, at the end of the day, you're not going to end up with a job, right? Last rebuttal on how they said that they have for-profit universities pumping out 51% of the jobs, of the new jobs at the end of the day. We tell you that those 51% of the jobs don't 41% of the degrees don't actually produce jobs, and they end up discriminating. There's harms at the end of the day, and we say that those jobs are worthless. We'd rather have those students not have degrees at all, rather than have degrees discriminating them. And we see the side opposition doesn't actually solve the problem, doesn't actually see the problem of for-profit universities at the end of the day.
On that point, sir,
With one moving on, yes.
did you just say that those universities provide students with worthless jobs?
Excuse me?
With worthless jobs, those for-profit universities?
Yes, they give us degrees that does not actually give you employment, because our first speaker told you they give you inferior education, they give you education that does not actually give you employment. People don't want your for-profit degree because they don't have the reputation, they have bad teachers, etc., etc. Moving on to our substantive. For substantive, people are inherently too irrational to be choosing powerful options, in this case, for-profit universities. First level, we tell you that the deceptive marketing disables rational choice. Here we give you more examples of what those for-profit universities do. They use fake statistics, they have selling rules to lure the most vulnerable and convince the poor, the disadvantaged, the veterans that they're with them or we're with the military, just come to us. These are deceptive tactics. They exaggerate the quality of education, or those people are going to graduate more than graduate, also get a job. In reality, they don't. This completely clashes with what they said, that the sexual marketing is okay that people are making a rational choice. People are not making a rational choice. And even so, even if you say that advertisements lead to a rational choice, we tell you that secondly, information asymmetry exists. University quality cannot be measured by a specific criteria. Quality of courses, the learning atmosphere, the quality of books, the quality of those research papers cannot be placed in an ad. When an IGT ad runs that have a good job, a good life, a good future, you cannot simply quantify how good that life, that future is. People will not be able, will be incapable to judge that at the end of the day. Thirdly, we tell you that people are incapable of knowing whether the for-profits are good or bad. They do not know that these courses are rotten until they complete the courses already and like, oops, sorry, it's bad. And that's already wasting time and opportunity cost. But the state knows. The state has an employment rate. The state has to be proactive, not reactive. And therefore, we say to you that since members of society are not in a position of making a valid decision, we have to ban those for-profit universities. Second argument, on regulation is an eternal game of whack-a-mole. Firstly, we explore the nature of for-profit universities, of their for-profit incentive. Right? In principle, they are always for-profit, meaning that any regulation means that those for-profit universities will always look to find a loophole. They will always try to find a new loophole, and that regulation will take forever. Secondly, we tell you that regulation takes a legal framework, class action lawsuit. Right? We tell you that firstly, it takes a minimum of 7 years. You need people, you need victims, you need money to do that, and that's hard to do. And thirdly, every set of process is bribeable. As Tom University, as they gave us the example, bribe the Florida state attorney to dismiss the case. And that's already happened before. So we say to you that class action lawsuits are not successful. And even if they are successful, they will liquidate their assets through bankruptcy, and people at the end of the day will not get the money. The students will not get the money, right? Lastly, we tell you the impact, right? It takes time. Even if the regulations work, it takes time. It takes lost opportunity cost. You would have to waste 4 years in school, 7 years in a lawsuit, in a class action lawsuit. That's already 11 years, assuming that that's successful, right? And there's no alternative. The alternatives are politically controversial, and we tell you that at the end of the day, none of those regulations will work. The only way out is to ban, and the states have an obligation to ban to stop the harm of those for-profit universities, and that's why we're proud to oppose. Thank you.
The second speaker from opposition spent 8 minutes 9 seconds.
After the first proposition, after the second proposition speaker for your speech. And now to continue the case for the opposition team, please welcome Mr. Jassim Hamad Al-Kahtani.
Mr. Speaker, we on Team Opposition support opportunity. Sometimes this can be the only opportunity for these individuals, the individuals that attend for-profit universities. These individuals live in areas where crime and poor lifestyle is prevalent. The only way to preserve what so little they have is through education and not banning for-profit universities. Our first speaker came up here and told us that these traditional universities don't have the incentive to cater to the growing labor market. I, as the second speaker today, will be presenting the last argument, which is how do they have a meaningful choice. Before that, I would like to refute points from team proposition here. First of all, they had told us that that these universities are not going to cater to these students directly. They are going to misuse their allocations, but they're telling us that these CEOs are going to take the money and use it as a profit. Team proposition's issue is that these corporations, that they're using their money, profit incentives, for the long term. It is not in their interest to these CEOs, it's not in their interest to jeopardize the quality of their service in order to increase their share of profit, which they are already making. Second of all, we don't think that this is impossible to offer good education and still profit at the same time. Their problem is that the money is going to them and not back to the university. Let's have examples where traditional universities use that money incorrectly and misuse their allocations. Let's take Pennsylvania State University, where they go on and buy 2 ballrooms, 3 art galleries, a movie theater, and even salamanders. Or even universities that our first speaker mentioned in his speech, where they boast on having their Taj Mahal or whatever. See, even traditional universities use these sort of things. They misuse allocations. We still do not think it is justified to ban all of them. That is what they want, because one is bad. They want to take this Terminator approach. Sir, second of all, not at this moment, sir. Second of all, he talks about so their issue is that he told us that there are worthless jobs. They told us that they won't give this job after a PY from my first speaker, but we have to admit that there's a sort of contradiction here. I mean, first of all, the thing that we realize here that they have been offended, those who are working in that section, which because lottery of birth, they did not have as much chances as we did here today. So you cannot just go on and make fun of these people because they work in that area. Second of all, we think it is better for them because since they go and work there, it is better than not working at all and not advancing in life. Yes, they get loans, but they can pay them eventually as they are working, better than not working at all. Then, not at this moment, sir. Then, can students make a meaningful choice? Team proposition tells us that they're incapable of making a decision because they are poor, they're desperate, and they are duped by glossy advertisements. You see, we have several responses here. First of all, that's absolutely patronizing. Just because they are poor and uninformed doesn't mean that they will jump on the first glossy advertisement they see on TV. They think long and hard before making a decision. This is something about time, money for loans, and future. They're obviously going to make some homework before going onto these schools. Second of all, especially in these environments, the people where they're living, community support, church groups, NGOs, school counselors, work very hard to help these disenfranchised minorities get into college, because it is really hard for them to get into the traditional ones as they're more expensive and such. So, what do we tell you as our third point of verification? We support an individual right to choose. These are people who are autonomous and born equal. You cannot take away any choice of them because you think it is in their interest. The individuals are in the best position to evaluate their needs and choose for themselves. There is always the risk with any decision, regardless of where you want to study. It's just not limited to for-profit universities only. It just happens in every sector in the world. We see these as adults, the majority of whom are over the age of 25, are able to assess the risk and are capable of making their own decisions. That is what we team proposition, the opposition stands for, and that is choice. That is clearly what they do not stand for. So, moving on to my substantives. Why do we think it is a meaningful choice here? First of all, let us characterize who attend for-profit universities. A, we have minorities. They're more likely to be Hispanic, Latino, or African American, just like our first speaker has portrayed them. Second of all, the student of color amount for 60% of all for-profit universities. That is absolutely appalling because team proposition wants to just remove all of these 60% minorities away and not get into education. Second group are low-income groups. And third group are the students with lower grades. They tend to have lower high school GPAs. The summary is that we're talking about students who went to bad schools, who didn't have opportunities, who didn't get to debate and buffer their CVs just like we're doing here today. See, it is important to note here that we have an example from the National Center for Education Statistics. It shows that 3 in 10 black graduate students attend for-profit universities. Additionally, black women account for just 8% of all graduate students in 2014, but comprised 22% for-profit universities graduate students. So, why do these people, minorities, choose for-profit universities? It's not just because of these glossy advertisements they speak of. Unlike us, with our privilege to choose based on the professors, the research, the ranking, for these individuals, they want to live at home, they want to commute to school nearby, they need to take a year off after school to earn money for college, they need to work full-time and attend college as part-time students, they need online resources, not fancy libraries, and athletics departments, such as the examples that our first speaker has mentioned. Then they choose universities because of their circumstances, because they have dependents, because they have time, work, and also place restrictions. Yes, go ahead.
If those people have those restrictions as well, why don't they go to a community college which has less much of a load and actually give you a job?
Yeah, absolutely, I'll tell you that. You see, first of all, you're going to phase out all of these students. This is not going to work. First of all, they're in 2 scenarios here. They're not going to get a place to work in. Then if you want to replace them, why we tell you that these universities are better than non-profit universities? Because, let's say if they take this for-profit university, a graphic school, and put a non-profit in this place, it is not going to be as better because they are driven to move. They have incentives because they are a free market, profit incentivized, because they want to look in the long term and how they cater and get profit at the same time, unlike non-profit, which they are going to stay stagnant and just help the people in that specific. So these people, second of all, they need a program designed for their lifestyle, or programs they offer 2-year jobs and skill-focused programs. Just our first speaker told us. They did that with these universities. Third point is that they need universities that will accept their lower grades, as I explained. And fourth of all, they need a university environment where they don't feel like the outsider old man who just got their GED. This is a niche market. The reason they go to for-profit universities is because they are tailored to their lifestyle, and the reason for-profit universities design these programs because they saw an opening in the market that had demand that traditional universities that refused to supply, that they did not cater to these individuals in the first place. That is why they appeared. So what happens to these students once we ban for-profit universities? Let's look at those who want to stay in college. Only 12% are going to stay because they have these sort of privileges, but 88% of them don't have any zip code alternatives. So they would not relocate and they would not have to get any colleges. That assuming that they have a college in the first place and assuming they get in. You see, that's what we think it is. That is the most likely scenario, is that these students cannot get accepted because they cannot move and probably will drop out. That is bad. You're dooming them to the fate of their forefathers, and they're systematically barred from opportunity.